How are you doing, guys? ZDEyE here. So today I wanted to share my full review for Sony's PlayStation 5 DualSense Edge controller. Now, I want to say straight up front that this controller is genuinely incredible product. But of course, there are a few drawbacks, unfortunately, that this controller is not going to receive like a 10 out of 10 personally from me. Now, I want to say that everything else that it has are incredible things that it has with it, especially of its customizability, and as an example that you can actually change around the thumbsticks. Also, you can choose of the height that you can press or how tough you can press the triggers on the sides, well, at the back I should say, and also you can change the paddles in the back of the controller as well. And there's so much more that you can do with this controller that genuinely has a bit of value for you, right, as a consumer. On top of that, don't get me started with all the software capabilities that this controller has that you can actually further customize. It genuinely is an incredible product. I also absolutely love the way that this controller has an incredible solid build and it feels fantastic. And you know what? The best part about it, that it has the similar form factor as it was for the original DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5. Because like, why change it if it ain't broke? You know what I mean? Why fix it if it ain't broke? And as such, you know, keeping the same form as it was for the original DualSense controller may be a little bit perhaps somebody maybe was a bit disappointed. Perhaps they want to have a completely unique feel, completely different. But I say that actually this is a good thing because already DualSense original controller was already a fantastic controller and may even say that the best controller of all time. And so why would there be a need to completely change around the Edge controller, and instead they opted going with a different route, and a good route, mind you. I think that keeping it the similar form design of the controller, and it actually works better this way. But of course, everything is not, you know, roses and stuff basically, and there are a few drawbacks. An example of two major drawbacks that genuinely keeps this controller being a fantastic product for everybody to get. One major drawback I want to mention, it is that the battery life is indeed incredibly short. Because of these incredible features that this controller has, and I'll get into more of course in a bit, but you know, being of a drawback that this controller can last about 4 hours on a minimum and maximum up to 6 hours. Again, that depends what game you're playing, how often you use the controller, how often do you constantly charge it as well, and what kind of gaming sessions you're having too, right? This can still vary, but unfortunately when the time goes on and years pass by, this controller will be shortened in terms of its battery life. You know, it's a normal thing for any product, that's including controllers, phones, laptops, everything. And as such, you know, being as it is a 4 hours length, well, a duration I should say, it will actually decrease maybe all the way up to 2 hours, and that is simply unacceptable. That is a major drawback. On top of that, like it's been already confirmed that the battery is actually smaller comparing it to the original DualSense controller. Mainly it's because of the so many features that this controller has, so perhaps that's why they could not make the battery any bigger. In fact, they're gonna have to go on the opposite side and make the battery smaller. But thankfully, of course, there are a few additional key details or key features that it includes with this controller, and the items that brings in with this controller. As an example, a braided USB cable that you can actually connect to the controller, and lengthy, mind you, it's quite lengthy. It's about, I believe it was like 2 meters length, and it does not actually it has a very good solid build, and it's not gonna break on you for like after 2 or 3 years. It is very nicely made, and I'm actually using it constantly, and it's definitely advisable for you to always constantly use this controller while it is wired. That's just unfortunate truth, but also I like the way it comes with a locking mechanic that you can actually lock your controller with this USB, so anybody that pulls on a cable or some sort of accident happen, it's not gonna unplug your cable accidentally. But unfortunately in this case, then like your whole damn controller is just gonna go flying off somewhere. So maybe that's gonna be a little bit of a oopsie kind of situation. Now, I want to say that I love the way there's a new kind of thought out design that this controller has in software, as an example of 4 profiles that you can switch between between the game. It does not matter where or when. For example, you can actually customize each profile. As an example, for example, back pedals, that you can actually have them as a reference of an O button or an X button, and you know respectively you can do that, or you can actually have something else entirely for specific games. So whichever way you want, it is possible. I really love that. I love the way as well there's a shortcut buttons in this as well. For example, while you're pressing an F and button are the ones that are on the bottom, there's extra buttons basically for this controller included, so you can actually customize, well, I should say adjust the volume of your game session or your game or your game chat as well. So there's just obviously incredible things that this has. And another big thing I gotta say, I love the way you can actually change modules. For example, the thumbsticks itself are replaceable, and they're actually worth the price. I think so anyway. They're about $20, I believe so. And so one pair like you can buy, and you get like a module replacement if there's like a serious stick drift. And on top of that, stick drift, you have a capability of adjusting your stick drift. That's just a major incredible feature that I think it's necessary to have on original controllers as well, not just the DualSense Edge. There's so many good things that has been clearly thought out for this controller that definitely has a big value. Now here's the last big problem with this controller, and I'm talking about the cost. The price tag is genuinely very steep. I have to say this. I had to pay for this controller about 230, well, give or take 220 euros, and that is a very hefty price, man. Like, you really have to find a value. Like, are you using PlayStation 5 in general often? Do you play heavy demanded games? Are you looking for more of a professional session with this game? Are you looking time and time again? You have to utilize, you have to think about the price and if it's genuinely worth it for you. Because I play my PlayStation almost every day, almost. I think this is definitely worth it. But here's not a positive, I definitely want to mention this. I actually noticed when I've been playing with this game, with this controller I should say, and I've been playing Forspoken and stuff like that, and just in general different varieties of games as well, I love the way I don't have to use my controller as a claw grip style. So instead, I use my back pedals more often. And I tried to get used to this. It's a little bit awkward at first because I'm not really used to the like scuff controllers, if you're guys aware of them, basically. And I think that's genuinely is a nice thing because actually it can help your wrist in the long term. It genuinely does help you. So you see, you're gonna have to make your own assumption of, if it's truly worth the full price tag that it's asking for. Granted, this controller has so many values. For example, that it comes with a shell or a holster or just a carry case basically, and it's a very hard carrying case that you can practically put in everything inside, and it genuinely will save your controller. But of course, there's just a value of, what will be the point of having this carrying case if, mainly it's used for, well, mobility, right? You want to go somewhere, a different country or whatnot, and you want to bring this controller, but then you have to think about it, man, this controller costs $200, even more, and yet you're going to be carrying this case with you. Would you be even doing that? That's just the question. The PlayStation 5 console itself is a very big console, so would you actually be considering bringing the whole console with you, for a holiday or something like that? You see, there's always little things to consider and to make a value if it's genuinely is worth it or not. And as such, personally for me, since I'm a gamer, since I play a lot of varieties of games, and plus I'm actually seeing of a health issues that could be a possibility because of the normal controller that I usually play on, playing as a claw grip, and actually could be quite dangerous for your wrist if you're constantly playing it like that. This controller can be a very helpful product. But yet also, like I said, it's all up to you. I personally think it's worth it, but again, it's also because I'm being a little bit biased. Well, it's up to you to make that kind of decision. Alright guys, do let me know what you think about this controller. Do you like it? Did you consider picking it up? Or perhaps you're gonna wait a little bit longer and maybe wait for the price tag to go lower at least, or some kind of deal, wait for that at least. or perhaps you're not gonna bother getting it at all. Alright, like and subscribe, see you guys all, and have a wonderful day.